the analysts in other nations, the security forces in other nations, the intelligence forces in other nations take these tweets as seriously as some of us dismiss them. I want to talk about your boy. Yeah, that's right. Your boy, Donald Trump, being Donald Trump. And I'm wondering if I'm going to start with, yeah, I think I will. I think I will start with Donald Trump's nuclear tweets because it matters. All right. So Donald John, whatever the hell J stands for, Trump, over the weekend, or actually I think it was Thursday, I forgot exactly which day, tweeted out something rather absurd. Let me see if I can pull up the right tweet here, so that we can show you what he decided was a practical solution for, or practical usage of his Twitter account was to share his nuclear ambitions with the world via Twitter. So because that's Donald Trump. Let's look on our screen here. The United States must greatly strengthen and expand its nuclear capability until such time as the world comes to its senses regarding nukes. All right, so I had a chance to discuss this on the David Pakman program this morning. And I listened to what we talked about earlier today. And actually, there's still a lot more to say about this separate from what was said this morning, because that's just, that's what we do. But the tweet in itself is idiotic and imbecilic in that he is saying that until such time that the world comes to its senses, we're going to do something that's nonsensical, right? Until the world gets its head together, we're going to do something that shows that we no longer have our head about us. That's essentially the logic of the tweet, saying Donald Trump is going to say the most irresponsible thing a president can say with regard to nuclear proliferation, and then at the end say that we do this because we have an expectation, or we want to make sure that we do this until the world gets their act together. In other words, I'm going to do the exact thing that would cause you to never come to your senses with regards to nuclear proliferation, and then expect you to. So how can I break this down even better? I'm going to hit you across the head until you come to your senses about me hitting you across the head. It's not apples to apples. I could probably do it better, but I think you get the sentiment, right? This opening salvo, this opening statement is so inflammatory in terms of nuclear, in terms of international relations, in terms of nations setting. And I want to stress this. Let me stop mid-sentence. The words of the president have significant weight, period. These are not the words of a foolish president or the words of a wise president. It doesn't matter. They are the words of the soon-to-be sitting president, who has the ability to set policy for nuclear proliferation, or set nuclear policy, to be more accurate. So these are not idle words, and for people to dismiss them as idle words is highly irresponsible, particularly my people on the left. I love you. I don't always punch left, but I have to punch left on this one, because you cannot understate the significance of Donald Trump tweeting out something this damning in terms of nuclear policy. Now, is it a significant change from what President Obama was? I think the Obama administration said that we need to put $1 trillion into maintaining updating and modernizing our nuclear armament, right? Is it a significant difference? Well, we don't know. And that's the thing. A lot of people have drawn the conclusion that because the Obama administration was going to spend $1 trillion or some obscene amount of money, I don't know if it's $1 trillion, but spend an obscene amount of money to modernize our nuclear capabilities, that's the same thing as Donald Trump saying the United States must greatly strengthen and expand. Modernize does not necessarily mean to expand, and I'm not going to absolve President Obama in any way on anything. I don't have to. However, if Obama says that we are going to modernize our nuclear armaments, our weapons, right? And sometimes, and not even just modernize, but just maintain what we have, because not maintaining it is a threat in and of itself, right? Just because he says that does not mean we dismiss what Donald Trump has said here. And I'm going to punch harder left on my show than I did on Pacman's show, because I don't really know Pacman's audience that well. I do know my audience well. And a lot of times what we do is we ignore what Donald Trump has said because there is some corresponding action or behavior from Democrats. And in this case, not in all cases, some cases it is apples to apples. In some cases, it is a fair criticism, and it's a fair rebuttal. But in this case, you can't draw those parallels. You can't responsibly draw those parallels. The reason you can't responsibly draw those parallels is because President Obama has never gone out and said that we just need to expand. Let me put it on your screen for yourself. We need to greatly strengthen and expand, which means he's not just looking to modernize and to protect or restore or refurbish, for the lack of a better word, which is, I hope to God they're not refurbishing any nuclear weapons, but I digress. He's not saying that we should do this. He's saying that we need to take a dominant stance in the international community, even more so than our already dominating presence in the nuclear arms race. And that sentence didn't really come out the way I wanted. It's not a nuclear arms race yet. We're getting ready to go into one because of statements like this. We are already the dominant player. The only person second to us, Russia, right? And they're a distant second. But there's enough nuclear weapons between the United States and Russia to destroy the world 20 to 50 times over. So Donald Trump's statement here is not the same as President Obama saying that we need to modernize it, blah, 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 blah. He's saying that we need to be even more dominant, that we need to put pressure on the international community so the international community can, quote unquote, come to its senses. What the hell do they need to come to their senses on with regards to nuclear weapons? This is the big question. What does Donald Trump actually want people to say, the international community to say? What is that threshold? What is coming to their senses? What does that mean? Does that mean that they do whatever America says? Is that coming to their senses? Does that mean that they will lay down all their nuclear weapons and only allow America to be the only nuclear power in the world? What is coming to their senses? And because he gives both a definitive statement and a black box statement, one that says, this is what we're going to do. We're going to expand our nuclear weapons, right? And then the black box statement is like, we don't know what the hell he's even talking about. What the hell does this even mean? What does it even mean to come to our senses? Like, what is China going to say? What is China, right? Donald Trump. What are they going to say to this? How are they to interpret this? And the problem is that the analysts in other nations, the security forces in other nations, the intelligence forces in other nations take these tweets as seriously as some of us dismiss them, right? Some of us dismiss it. Oh, it's just a tweet and we shouldn't be paying attention to it. It's just, no. There are literally intelligence agencies across the world who are now listening to every single tweet, and they're trying to interpret the meaning behind these tweets. And Donald Trump has given two things. He said, one, I have these, we're going to expand and increase our nuclear capabilities, which is uniquely different. And then that's open to interpretation. What does that even mean? Does that mean, do you mean that you're going to do what President Obama said he was going to do? If that's what you mean, okay, that's something that the international community has already been putting into their calculus, right? Is that what you mean? But no, he doesn't say that. He basically, and well, we'll get to the Mika Brzezinski part in a second from Morning Joe, but he's just saying we need to expand, which is a signal to other nuclear nations that shit, they need to expand as much as they possibly can. And this is a signal to non-nuclear nations to say, if we're getting to a nuclear arms race, then We need to do what's best for us. And then, so that's the definitive statement, as vague as it is. It's definitive in terms of our action that we're going to expand, but it's vague in the sense that he's saying until you come to your senses. Now, how in the entire hell is China and the rest of the nuclear armed world, how are they supposed to interpret come to our senses? And then two, should they even be, you know what they said? If I were them, I'd just say, bitch, please. Basically, that's the end of conversation. Bitch, please. But thankfully, I'm not a head of state. But I'm sure somebody had that same exact sentiment towards Donald Trump. Bitch, please. Because the reality of it is when we start talking about nuclear proliferation and we're talking about a nuclear arms race, we've already solved that equation. There is no way to win. So whatever. It's not like he's going to change his empty bravado or his inflammatory words. I mean, the only thing that we could do is actually just give commentary about it until such time that he takes an action, a definitive action that is either impeachable or, whatever. But until then, Donald Trump has this platform vis-a-vis Twitter where he can actually set the expectations of the international community with his bitch baby tweets. And his bitch baby tweets have escalated into his nuclear wet dreams. I just have one request, right? And I guess it's kind of meaningless when you consider the fact that we're dealing with Donald Trump. But my request is, let's not downplay everything that this man does just because you got beef with the Democratic Party or you got beef with President Obama. I got a lot of beef. I've got more beef with the Democratic Party than most people. And I am not afraid to criticize Barack Obama. However, all that being said, we have to stop drawing these false parallels, because talking about expanding and increasing our nuclear capability until such time as the world comes to their senses is about as irresponsible of a statement that you can make on nuclear policy. And it came directly from the mouth, or at least the thumbs, of our incoming president.